Hey families, today I want to talk a little bit about how we can keep ourselves strong as we go through the long game of discipling our kids into adulthood and beyond. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about is that you have to continue to keep yourself fed so that you can pour that out of an overflow into your kids, right? And so sometimes I relate this to kind of a sports theme, right? We talk about athletes being able to maintain endurance throughout a game or a marathon or that kind of thing. And one of the things that they have to have is they have to have good nutrition. And it can't just be on game day, right? It has to be every day. It has to be a lifestyle. There's a daily discipline that they have to maintain in order to reach their goals and to stay healthy. And so my question for you guys is, how are you getting fed? Right? Because watching a sermon once a week is for sure a staple of our diet, but it can't be the only meal that we get all week. We have to make time to spend with God. We have to refill our cup so that we can pour out of it. But as parents, it can be really hard to find that time. And so we have to get creative, right? Do you have a few minutes after the kids are in bed? Could you get up a little earlier than they do in the morning if they're not crazy pre-dawn risers? For some people, those are the quiet moments that they need to spend time in prayer and time in the Word and time worshiping the Lord and connecting to Him. The rest of us have to get a little more creative. I have a preteen and a teen, and so between morning routines of one of them getting up super early and others staying up super late, it can be really hard to find those moments where they're both in bed and I'm not passed out. I had a friend who talked to me one time about how she used to have her only alone time was when she was in the shower. And so she would spend that time in prayer and in conversation with God. And those moments refueled her and kept her life in balance. And so sometimes we really do, as parents, have to be super creative with everything. So you might have a few minutes alone in the car while you're running errands. You might have time over your lunch break to be able to set aside a chunk for prayer or devotion. Because, guys, there are little, some not so little people that need our time and our presence constantly. And this isn't unique to just being a parent. Jesus experienced the same thing in his ministry. That demand for his time was never ending. So how did he deal with this? How is he not burned out and exhausted? And if we look at Mark 1:35, it gives us some insight. It says that very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Now, the day before this, an entire town had gathered at his door. He had healed many people and cast out demons. He had poured out his cup on those around him. And he needed that cup refilled. He needed time with the Father. And that's our model. When we get overwhelmed, when we get exhausted and emptied, we need to fill that back up with God. So I would encourage you to find those little moments that you can steal with the Lord. And I promise it will be worth your time. I love you guys. I'll see you soon.